review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He is a blogger, podcast host, speaker, and consultant, as well as an author, none other than Mr. Dan Clouser.
Thanks for having me today.
Welcome, Mr. Dan on Book One on Review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I mess?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm Dan Clouser. I'm an author. Just released my fifth book, A Good Boy's Journey, which is a book that's written as though myself and our golden retriever were co-authors. Unfortunately, we lost him back in April of 2024. But it's a book about his perspective of traveling in the RV full time with us for over 4 years. And I'm really excited to get this book out into the world. It's only been out for a little while, and really looking forward for it to make an impact.
And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. Dan. And the title A Good Boy's Journey immediately raises questions about identity. How does the book explore the weight and expectation of what it means to be a good boy?
Well, I think from Euclid's perspective, that was his name. He was named after Kevin Euclid, the old Red Sox third baseman, because I'm a big baseball fan and a big Red Sox fan. It's really just about enjoying the moment, enjoying the journey, enjoying the little things in life, and what being around a canine companion can teach us as humans. So many times us as humans were just in this rat race, constantly trying to figure out what's next, what's on our agenda. And I think when you're in the presence of a dog, they teach you to just relax and kick back and enjoy the moment, something that we don't do nearly enough as human beings.
Indeed, relax and take a deep breath, people. What does the journey in the title represent? Is it a geographical, emotional, spiritual, or all of the above kind of voyage?
All of the above for sure. I mean, obviously it's geographical because he lived in the RV with us, traveling across the country. He got to see 46 states and one Canadian province. Traveled over 36,000 miles or 46,000 miles with us, and so it's certainly a geographical journey. It's an emotional journey, um, and it's a spiritual journey because I think animals have a higher spiritual connection than what we do as humans. I think they have a better understanding of life and death, and um, you know, if we allow them to, we can learn a lot from them while we're in their presence for sure. But it is definitely all the above when it comes down to that journey.
All of the above, indeed. Was there a specific moment or turning point that made you realize your story needed to be framed as a journey and shared with the world?
Um, we've been traveling full time in the RV now since 2020, and part of that inspiration actually came from my mother. She had taken an old '67 Valiant back in the '80s, took the back seat out of it, kind of converted it into a quasi RV, so to speak, and traveled throughout the country solo. It was never really anything that I was inspired to do personally. I never would have guessed if you would have talked to me in 2018 that this is what we would be doing in a couple years. But I took a couple solo trips in early 2019, which kind of set me on this path. And, I kind of understood why she did what she did. There was an incredible serenity on the road. And when my wife and I decided to embark on this journey ourselves, one of the things I wanted to do was share those experiences that we've had with the people we've met, the places we've been, with others. Because, when my mom passed away, I remember reading through her journals and, just thinking as we were getting ready to embark on our journey, how cool it would have been for my mom to be able to share those experiences in real time. on social media, which obviously wasn't something that we even knew was ever going to exist back in the 80s. So um, that's really what inspired me, is just wanting to share that journey and make people understand, um, the material things in life are only temporary, but the experiences last forever.
Last forever for sure. And tell us, in what ways does the book challenge or deconstruct the very idea of goodness, the way of us are raised with?
Yeah, I think it just challenges us to always evaluate ourselves, always, look at how we can be better, how we can contribute to society, what we can give as opposed to what we can take. Or, so I think it's constantly challenging us to, again, be in the moment, enjoy the little things, and just, take time to recognize those moments before they pass.
Mr. Dan, this book seems to require immense vulnerability. Which part of the story was most difficult to write, and why is it essential to include it?
Definitely the most difficult part of the story to write was when we lost him. The last 3 chapters of the book, 4 chapters of the book, um, talk about his passing, both his perspective initially when he was getting ready to cross the Rainbow Bridge, and then our perspective when we lost him, and then the adjustments to not having him around. Um, I wrote a chapter about what it was like, once 3 months had passed and the adjustments we were making. And then another, the final chapter talks about, his 1 year anniversary after he had passed, what it was like not having him around. And again, even now, um, year and a half after his passing, I mean, it's still tough. I mean, I don't think a day goes by that my wife and I don't think about him, talk about him. So definitely those final chapters, which were literally about his final chapters of his life, were probably the most difficult and the most vulnerable to write for sure.
And Mr. Dan, were you ever tempted to soften the edges of your story to make more palatable? What is convince you to tell it with honesty instead?
I just think that's the only way to tell a story. If you've got to massage it or smooth the edges, I don't think it's authentic. And I've always tried to live myself, live my life authentically and genuine. Um, and I think if you're trying to massage a story to make it more marketable or more mainstream, I don't think it's authentic anymore at that point. So the only way I know how to do things is with authenticity.
Authenticity indeed is the key of a great storytelling. Mr. Dan, can you share a pivotal moment in the book where the good boy persona either served you as a failed you?
What was that question again?
Can you share a pivotal moment in the book where the good boy persona either served you or failed you?
Um, it's really throughout the book. Um, you had an interesting personality where um, he, uh, he kept us in the moment, but he also knew that he had us around his paw, so to speak. He knew that anything he wanted, my wife and I would give him. There's a chapter in there where talks about being a spoiled dog, and he just points out the fact that you're not really spoiled if you deserve it. So
Interesting, Mr. Dan. Many people struggle with living up to external expectations. What practical insights does your journey after someone feeling trapped by the need to please others?
I mean, that's part of the human condition that I think we all struggle with at times. We always want to get positive feedback and, you know, please other people and that sort of thing. But I think again, you're not really living your life authentically if you're constantly doing things simply to get approval from others. Um, so I think it's truly a struggle. I mean, we all want to be accepted. There's no doubt about that. But I think we just have to come to a point where we realize at the end of the day, it's not really what others think about us. It's you know, what we're doing and how we're approaching life and making sure that, we are being genuine and we are being um, honest and vulnerable and just open with others.
The journey from a good boy to presumably or presumption fulfilled man often involves unlearning. What was the most significant belief or behavior you had to unlearn?
To unlearn, boy, again, I think just giving up what society says is what we're supposed to do, that we're supposed to go out and consume, um, you know, constantly be chasing after material goods, um, and, you know, trying to fulfill our life by what we fill our homes with, so to speak. One of the most liberating things we did was when we were downsizing and selling all of our stuff that we had just accumulated over, you know, 20 years of being in the house that we had lived in at the time. Um, and now, I mean, it's so freeing to be able to walk into a gift shop or something like that and look at stuff and know that we just don't need it. We don't need to spend that money. We don't need to collect it. We can look at it and enjoy it and then walk on.
Mr. Dan, how do you navigate the tension between societal definitions of success and what do you dissolve to be truly meaningful for you?
Again, it comes back to being authentic and being genuine and being honest. Um, I'm far from a perfect human being. I know my own flaws better than anyone else does, and I think you know if we just can embrace who we are, flaws and all, it helps us get through life a lot easier.
What role did mentorship or lack therefore play in your journey? What is the key figure who help you see the different path?
Oh, definitely my mom for sure. I've also had some coaches throughout my baseball playing career that were incredible mentors, but far and beyond my mother for sure. Um, and even with what she did, even though initially I never thought that it would be my path, I always respected her for having the guts to do what she did. She quit a very good paying job in the mid 80s and, jumped in that little 67 Plymouth Valiant and kind of redefined herself, um, and just gave herself to others, volunteered a lot. Again, something that I do quite a bit of. Me and my wife do a lot of volunteering my entire life. I just gave back to others, and that's definitely something that I learned from her from a very young age, just being around her and watching how much she gave of herself. So she was definitely by far and above my greatest mentor for sure.
Mr. Dan, as a blogger, podcast host, speaker, and consultant, as well as an author, what are short term and long term goals?
Um, Short-term goals right now. My wife's going through some health issues, and we're just trying to get her healthy, get back on track. Long-term goals is just continue to write. Um, Hope that my writing inspires others, and just keep moving forward and continue to find the beauty in little things as we go through this crazy thing we call life.
Well, good luck to your goals, Mr. Don, and looking forward for more success. And what will be your piece of
Appreciate that.
advice? Yes, a piece of advice for those people out there who want to be like you.
Just, forget what society tells you and do what makes you happy, whether that's selling all your stuff and moving into an RV and traveling throughout the country, or whether it's something else. Find what makes you happy and do it regardless of what others tell you, regardless of what society's messaging is to you. We all have our own sweet spot of what happiness is and what success is, and it's different for all of us. So find what makes you happy and embrace it with both arms and go after it.
Yes, people, do what you are doing at best. If and stop procrastinating. If you have the passion to write, write, just like Mr. Dan. And thank you for that advice. Would you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Definitely Tuesdays with Maury. I think it's a great book. It talks about a lot of the things that I've spoken about in my own books. Reflection, giving up on materialism, and just recognizing the role we play in this life and the role that we play in others' lives. It's a great book. I highly recommend it. If you haven't read it, be sure to check it out. Tuesdays with Maury. By far my favorite book and definitely most influential book I've read.
Thank you for that recommended books, Mr. Dan. And how did you find courage to redefine success and goodness in your own terms? What did the new definition turn out to be?
Um, Again, I think just being able to reflect and trying to comprehend what society is telling us is success, which again is just consuming, um, you know, getting the biggest toys, and being able to look back and understand that that isn't what gives us fulfillment in life. Experiences are what give us fulfillment in life. Um, so you know, taking a hike with my wife or with Uke when he was around, um, those memories that we would achieve during those experiences last a lifetime. Where if you go out and buy a new car or a nice big house, it doesn't last forever and definitely doesn't fulfill you for sure.
Yes, success is something else deep inside you. How did you find courage to step up with a new innovation of life, just like what you're doing right now, living in the RV?
Um, it was really when I took those two solo trips that I talked about earlier in 2019. I, I'd been adding chapters to my first book at that time, and just with everything I was doing um, in my career and with the organization that I'd ran, it was very difficult to find time to write. And after taking those two trips, um, it really was like a calling from God, like listening to a voice saying it was time to start a new chapter. I didn't embrace it at first. I fought it because what I was doing in my career was helping young people and making an impact on them and changing their lives and making them um, be productive members of society as well. So it wasn't something I embraced, but it was just something that just stayed on me, constantly. Um, just hearing that voice, it was time to use my talents in a different way and to start writing more and speaking more and getting out there and sharing those stories. So it wasn't an easy transition. Um, it took a while for me to embrace it, but I'm glad that I did finally listen to that voice and take the leap.
Take the leap indeed. For readers who see themselves in your story, what is the first step you would recommend they take to begin their own journey of self discovery?
I think it goes back to what I said earlier about just, finding what makes you happy. What is it that fulfills you as a person? And also understanding that it's never too late to make that change. I mean, I was 50 years old when we embarked on this journey. Um, so I think people get to a point in life where they don't think they can make a change because they've been doing something for too long. I had run the organization that I'd run for 30 years. I mean, literally, 60% of my life on earth at that point I had dedicated to this organization. Um, and also to understand that even if you're happy in what you're doing now, because I loved what I was doing, it wasn't like I was in a dead end 9 to 5 corporate job that I hated. I absolutely loved what I was doing, but there was still something more for me in this life. So I think it's just finding that niche that makes you more fulfilled yourself.
Mr. Dan, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please to listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well, geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast law 101 and mental health 101. Love Letters in third season, and Movie 101 Review, Music 101 in fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Dan, now that the book is complete, what does the world journey mean to you today, and how to see your journey continuing?
It, journey is our life. It is truly a journey from the time we're born to the time we die. And sometimes there's high points in that journey, sometimes there's low points in that journey. But the key is always continuing to move forward, whether it's at a fast pace or a slow pace or any pace, it's your pace. And again, we're all going through this life for the first time. There's no dress rehearsal, there's no preparation for it. We get thrown into it and we're all out here trying to figure it out. So, I think just embracing that journey and embracing the things along the way and understanding that when you're in the valleys that you're not going to be there forever, and when you're on the mountaintops you're not going to be there forever as well. It's just a constant up and down. And again, as far as our future for this journey, it's just at this point concentrating on my wife's health and getting her healthy again, and um, being able to get back on the road and you know out there meeting people and doing book signings and all that sort of stuff.
Mr. Dan Clouser, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Hoping for more and more empowering books to come. And so can you please invite our listeners to support your books or your podcast as well?
Thanks for having me, Daniel. I really appreciate the conversation.
Yes, indeed. So where do people can get your books or as well as your podcast, Mr. Dan?
If you go to my website, that's the best start. It's journeymymotherson.com or danclouser.com. All my books are available. Signed copies are available. If you don't want a signed copy, you can go to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, bookshop.org. They're all available there. But best place to start, looking for podcasts. If you want to book me as a speaker, just go to my website, journeymymotherson.com.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Dan Clouser to supporting for sure. More and more empowering books like this done. So, Mr. Dan, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
More to come, people. See you soon.